It's June 4th, 2020. And this is a comment about the latest violent upheaval of a few different groups in response to the George Floyd situation, but also a few other things bubbling under the surface that have now come to fruition. One is the well, let's just say between the rich and the well-off and the people who are not rich and well-off. It's definitely a class warfare situation. There's that aspect to the current rioting. There's the white kids who have been taught for much of their life to be ashamed of their skin color, to hate America, to be told lies about America. There's the leftist death cult of postmodernism that ties into that. That the lies of feminism, especially third wave, that tells women that they can be just as happy with no kids, just as happy with no husband, and also the further lies with regard to gender change, which you cannot change your gender. The further lies with regard to marriage, quote unquote, not between a man and a woman, which is not marriage. Why? Because sex cannot happen between two same-gendered sexual animals. That's called wankery. It's not sex. And sex only happens when babies can be produced. So, now in the recent past, I was listening to a man named Stefan Molyneux. I listened to him for about a year or two. Then eventually I got off the Stefan Molyneux train. The reason I got off the Stefan Molyneux train was because I heard the man grill. He has these call-in shows sometimes, and this man had got a wife from another country and into America. Now Stefan Molyneux's Canadian, and he essentially attacked the man again and again and again for getting a so-called foreign bride. Now, and that's stupid. I mean, why do people marry? They marry for marriage reasons. People marry for marriage reasons, whether they're marrying people from their own country or from another country. I mean, don't we all live on one planet? What the fuck? Now, also, in Stefan Molyneux's in conversations with a retrograde Doctor Who-looking alien gremlin troll named pseudonym Vox Day, also called Theodore Beale. I'm in a conversation with him, and also in sidebar commentaries he's made in other parts of his vidcast. He's expressed how he doesn't like seeing interracial marriage, so-called, on television. Okay. Now, the racism, and also there's this business of race and IQ. And I will say with regard to that, there is currently selection pressure in the human animal toward technical excellence for all human groups. So regardless of what the history is of a certain group, that's less important than what the selection pressure is now. And the selection pressure is now toward technical excellence. And so all groups will rise through the power of evolution with selection. That's a good thing. And it will help everyone rise. So that's it. So what about the past? Let's look to the future and what the potential is of all human colors. But one thing to keep in mind is the racism of Stefan Molyneux is a reaction. It's a reaction to the racism of the left. The words diversity, the words inclusion, those words don't mean diversity or inclusion. They mean let's shame children and adults who had zero to do with historical wrongs. All children are born innocent. Okay? You're not responsible for the sins of your parents, your grandparents. That's retrograde tribal blame. That's retrograde group blame. Group rights, group blames, and a hierarchy of such. That's what the left does. So when you do shit like that, you're going to generate Stefan Molyneux people. You're going to generate worse people, Richard Spencer, Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes has expressed his view that he doesn't like interracial marriage either. So you get with when you push people down with shaming, inappropriate shaming, you're going to get a negative and tribalistic and enhanced in-group, out-group morality type of response. Okay? Now, as for me and my house, I want all human groups to rise. I think all human groups have the potential to succeed. Yes, it's true that, apparently based on what you see in the NBA and NFL, white people can't jump quite as well as black people. Well, why is that? Yeah, there probably is a trait, physical and maybe even mental, probably mental too, and personality correlations to what people's ancestors have been. Why? Because of selection pressure within those groups and because of the geography they dealt with and what they had to deal with. The traits which help humans survive in various parts of this planet were amplified. Okay? But people are moving around. Another interesting thing is that for darker skinned people who've moved to northern climate areas, there's going to be selection pressure for them. Gentle, slow, but selection pressure toward lighter skin. I mean, that's another point, right? You need vitamin D when you go north. How are you going to get it? Well, maybe in 10 or 50 generations, your kids will probably have lighter skin, right? Just 10 or 100 or 500 generations. I don't know how many generations it take to lighten the skin of someone when they move from one part of the planet to another and they face a disadvantage because they can't get enough vitamin D. Whatever. And probably same with light colored people who move to more sunny places. If they stay there long enough, there'll be selection pressure toward darker skin. Okay, but there's also selection pressure, more importantly, toward technical excellence. So that's that situation. But the George Floyd situation has given people an excuse. The thugs, the criminals, the crooks, the stay-at-home 20-somethings, soy boy, soy girl, blue-haired, purple-haired, orange-haired, nose-ringed youth who've been taught to hate America and hate themselves and hate their skin color and hate Western culture. Those, groups have come together. Now there's couched in, simultaneous to that on the street are people, black people who are rightly upset about how a number of cops are really just professional bully thugs. The bullies in high school, some of those be fed into the police academy and then fed into going onto the street so they could continue to be bully thugs. That is absolutely the case. Absolutely the case. A number of cops are nothing more than worthless bully thugs who have no business being police. And they're liars, and they'll threaten you if you complain, and they're dumb shits, and they're thugs. Yep, certain percentage of police are exactly like that. But there are some police who also want to help people and who are more honest. But there is the thin blue line where you have them all protecting themselves. And, so we need more police reform. That's true. So, anyway. All right. Continuing. Had some hikers passing by. So, now with regard to the value of Western culture, let's just get a few fucking things straight. Point one, America, the people who founded America, had Western Enlightenment values in their heart. Okay? Yep, there was some slavery that was going on at the founding of when America was founded. But even the people who founded America, it didn't sit right with them. Yes, they did it, but there was a moral tow, a moral current, which resulted from Western Enlightenment values toward the end of slavery. All human groups had slavery, and some human groups still do. Universal slavery. The Amerindians, the so-called Native Americans, although the word native means anyone born in a place, so Amerindian is more appropriate. American Indian, Amerindian. They had slaves, they had wars of conquest. The Mayans had sever-head football. So what did the Romans ever do for me, right? Like from the Life of Brian, Monty Python. Now, to stop slavery, we had to have a civil war. And if you search online for a man named, I think it's David Barton, search on YouTube for David Barton and Crowder, like Steven Crowder, the comedian, news commentator guy, his own YouTube channel. David Barton, Crowder, Civil War, and you'll see a deal where this historian, Civil War historian, outlines how the Civil War was fucking about slavery. So 365,000 Northern Army soldiers died during the American Civil War to, amongst other things, end slavery on the American continent. And the British Royal Navy paid the price in blood elsewhere in the world to help end the practice. So, if I were more tribalistic, I would say, where's my fucking reparations for that? Where's my fucking reparations for the fact that some of my ancestors, most likely, died because, or their relatives or cousins or something, Team Whitey died to end universal slavery. So where's the cred for Team Whitey for that? Team Whitey. All right, I'm not asking for credit, but I'm saying don't shit on me because of what my ancestors did. Some of them, I don't really know if any of my ancestors really had slaves, to tell the truth. But, I'm sure if you go back far enough, most people are related to a situation where all sorts of bad shit happened in the past. So if you go back far enough, you can always find people who did bad things. How far back are you going to go? How long a list are you going to make for your tribalistic hatred? How far back are you going to go for your tribalistic group rights, group blames situation? But for sure, the actions of all the violent people the past week have shown that the Second Amendment protects the First, but the Second Amendment protects a number of other rights also, constitutional rights, human rights, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The Second Amendment is key to that, including semi-automatic rifles. So that's that situation too. The cops aren't going to help you when the looting's happening, when the rioting's happening. It's up to you. And so the key message is, get a gun. Second message is, don't live in a shithole Democrat city. Third message is, if your state's like ultra blue, then you should at least move to a red county or move out of the state. So, and the Democrat-run cities, let's list them: Austin, Portland, Detroit, LA, New York. They're the place getting the most shit happening. And they're also the place that's too expensive to live. So there is a class warfare type of situation going on, where people see an opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to get me some of that rich person shit. I'm going to grab me some of that rich person shit. Break a window, so on. And you got those people mixed with the wastrel fucks of Antifa, who were taught and brainwashed as kids to hate America, hate Western culture, utter dumb shits, and to love Marxism. Marxism is a great way to destroy the human spirit of innovation. The right to control your own life, the need, the drive, the need to excel, blocking the Pareto principle that Jordan Peterson talks of, where 20% of the people in an organization contribute to 80% of the productive value. That's all shit canned with Marxism and socialism. You're putting your fate in the hands of someone else. It doesn't fucking work, and it fucking does the opposite of working. But when you're poor, you think, oh yeah, I don't have any money, so where am I going to get money from? Well, I'll get money from the magic government. But the government takes money from people by force. Don't pay your tax, see what happens. So, the kind of the middle of the road people might say, okay, we got to have a balance between forced taxation and not taxing too much, some social safety net, but not too much. Kind of a balance between socialism and capitalism, or freedom. Capitalism is not really the most word. We need another word like, let's call it fucking freedom. Freedom for you, freedom for me, freedom for everyone to excel as you best can. That's how you succeed in life, excelling as you best can. Okay? Work hard, get shit done, have a plan, build your talent stack, and so on. And don't let your life be hijacked by drugs and so on. And on that point, I did hear that Mr. Floyd did have fentanyl in his system, reportedly. And, so we have a man who was disconnected from his family. Why did that happen? Why was he disconnected from his family? Why was he on the street with fentanyl in his system? And drugs, they have a dual effect. Yes, they can disable you, but they can also serve as basically a fill-in when you're not fulfilling your needs. When you're not taking actions in your life to fulfill your basic needs of love and food and a good home and having kids, then you reach for drugs. And alcohol can be a drug. The single people who want to just booze it up all the time and party, there's some need for some of that, but it can also be a fill-in for settling down and having a family. So, drugs that hijack brain chemicals, brain and reward pathways, and which dumb down your brain and which give you a hit and then a letdown. Those are all fill-ins, largely for natural activities, evolved activities, which help us survive and thrive and be happy. So yeah, you can reach down and grab something that will do a fill-in, but you won't be happy in the long run, and you may fuck up your life if you keep grabbing for the fill-ins instead of the real thing. The real thing being an inherently reproductive life with an opposite gender partner in a committed relationship, inherently reproductive relationship, having babies, as many as you possibly can. And that's another thing. There's not an overall population problem. There's also not a human-caused climate problem. The current plants are starved for CO2. Goodness, there's just a whole slew of things that are like, it's about resource acquisition. These climate whore grifters. Resource acquisition for them. And money and power and control. If you find a way to successfully virtue signal, it's virtue signaling for profit, lying for profit. That's what the climate hysteria hoax is about. Very systematic and easy to make money. And the retard climate whore Greta Thunberg is the latest example, and all the other grifters and climate and whores and leftist Ponzi scheme people, they glom onto her, put her out there, but she's just she's a moron, biologically, not just a person who could maybe change. She's just a kind of a natural moron. And so it's like it's moron abuse. It's using a natural moron for your grifting Ponzi scheme whoring. That's Greta Thunberg. So that's the cultural situation, right? So the rural flyover people, they're doing better in general, although there is some problems with, drug use there. But, the family people, the church people, the family first people, the people who hunt, the people who like guns, the people who read their Bibles, and frankly, the people who read their Qurans. Even though the Quran's more problematic than the Bible, but still, your average Muslim is more, pro-life, pro-family. And, so memes which help genes continue survive best. And memes which block life continuance will be disfavored in the long run. So don't be a zero on the great Mandela of life. Don't be cheated. That's my message. And as for the violence on the street, Second Amendment, biatch. Protect yourself. All right, that's enough for today.